What up, peeps? It's your girl Josh coming back to you from Real Takes. Today I'll be doing a review to the movie titled Glass. Now, this is the movie I had been waiting for since, honestly, like I stated, since January of 2016. Now, as I stated before, when I saw Split, and then I saw the ending and saw how it would be intertwined with Unbreakable, I was on board. I mean, that movie literally mesmerized me. Now, I can say it for Unbreakable, that came out back in 2000. I enjoyed it. I loved the character Elijah, aka Mr. Glass, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and of course Bruce Willis playing David Dunn. You also get to, of course, get to know him and his family dynamic with his son Joseph Dunn, played by Spencer, I want to say Spencer Clark, excuse me. So yes, I loved that movie, whichever, and it was very sinister, just the way the character Elijah was, whatever, with what he could accomplish and how much harm and damage he did to so many lives. And then, of course, not understanding the realization of what Dunn could possibly do, not knowing, you know, what his overall abilities could be, and coming to terms with this, you know, trying to keep this from other people, having that little bond with his son, him knowing what his daddy's doing, all that, and, you know, wanting to know he's not alone. I'm here, Dad. I understand what you're doing, whatever, you know, I keep your secret, whatever, and all that. I just loved it, and I love that Spencer actually came back to be in Glass. That made it even more authentic. Now, for Split, as you all know, I again mesmerized. James McAvoy, honestly, just such a great actor. Just the body of work in that movie alone, just playing all those different characters, I would think honestly could be exhausting, because you're trying to get mentally into that, you know, feeling and moments of whoever you're playing in regards to that character, even if it's, you know, a character where you have to use a certain amount of strength, whichever, the vulnerability, things of that nature. Of course, we got introduced to Patricia, Dennis, Hegweg being one of my favorites, The Beast, of course, Kevin Wendell Crumb, things of that nature, and of course other characters that eventually will show in this one, as well as Casey, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, which was nice. So before I jump into it, let me just note this: I'm not going to spoil anything, whichever. I would prefer you all to go out and see this if you really want to see this, because I feel like this is a continuation, and I feel like overall I got the conclusion I truly wanted. There are a couple of tweaks I will bring up, you know, some small little peeves, nothing minor, but just enough, whatever. But overall, I did enjoy the movie. So with this one, as you all know, you of course see all these three main characters, of course, like I said, Dunn, Mr. Glass, and of course, you know, I'm just going to use Kevin Wendell Crumb. We're just going to use his main character, because that's the main personality of the actual body. And from there, you kind of see certain situations that happen. Of course, you see at the psychiatric ward, you know, Elijah's there, whatever. He's basically being drugged up. The main character, who's a doctor, is played by Sarah Paulson. She plays Dr. I had to note her name again, Ellie Staple, excuse me. And she basically is aware of some other ones they're trying to locate, whatever. And at the time, they're not there yet. So we're dealing with, you know, Dunn still being out, and then also him kind of just living his life. You know, he's with his son, whichever, they're, you know, running the business, whatever, but of course he still goes out, and he's considered, in this particular movie, is considered like the overseer. And then from there, you see the character, of course, by James McAvoy, playing, of course, his different personalities. You see a little bit of whiff of Dennis, and of course you get Hedwig, and you definitely get Patricia. Very much scene stealers at time. A lot of people in the theater love when Patricia comes out and Hedwig comes out, whichever. So, you know, that was really fun. It's a nice little treat, whichever. And of course, if you saw the trailer, you saw that there are now, you know, 4 girls, so like they're cheerleaders and all. He's kind of keeping, you know, locked up somewhere in some sort of, you know, old rundown like type of warehouse of sorts. And of course, in the trailer, you see the scene where Dunn's kind of going out. They're having an idea how they're trying to find these missing girls, and he runs into what looks like to be at the time Hedwig, walking down the, you know, the street, whatever, and all that, you know, doing this. And that's when he can see from the amount of, you know, his abilities to be able to have a feeling, you know, hence, you know, visuals of where he thinks they are, whichever. And from there, that's when he comes into contact with the girls, and then from there he ends up meeting what looks like to be at the time the Beast, whichever. So I enjoyed just seeing. You don't get so many fight scenes within this movie. You did get quite a bit here and there, whatever. Of course, towards the beginning, whichever, prior to them being captured, whichever, as you all see in the posters, and them sitting there and being, you know, analyzed and critiqued and asked of, you know, them to give Dr., you know, Staple what she needs, whatever, to do a full-out evaluation of them. Now, from there, of course, you see the scene with Casey I love that we get to see her kind of going through, just trying to live her life, whichever, you know, of course the kids at school kind of looking at her and all, because they know of her being, you know, of course, you know, kidnapped, you know, held against her will. Of course, the other girls, you know, not making it out, but she does make it out alive. Someone probably wondering how that is, whichever. And her being, you know, asked to come to the principal office, and she explains to her that he's been, you know, they've caught him, you should be relieved, whatever, and all these type of emotions kind of go through. One thing I like about Anya Taylor-Joy is her facial expressions can sometimes convey what she's trying to show us, you know, in her feelings, whatever. She doesn't even have to say words, and that was one of the things I liked about her when she was in Split. Now, as well, for the other characters, let me put it like this. When I was talking about certain things, little peeves or tweaks, I felt like we didn't get a lot from Bruce Willis's character done in this one. He wasn't truly fleshed out so much. It was kind of just like him going through the motions, him living his life, going here, trying to do these, trying to do the right thing, whatever. You're not seeing what's happened with him, since of course, you know, certain things happened with him and his wife, things of that nature. So it wasn't like he was doing so much talking throughout this movie. You get scenes here and there, but not really a lot. Same thing with Elijah. Of course, most of the time they were showing him look like he was drugged up. Then there are scenes where, of course, that manipulation starts to kick in. You see his overall true intentions, whatever. Doesn't want to let on to the individuals who work in the ward, the psychiatric, you know, ward, the hospitals, whatever, and all the nurses, or whatever, the male nurses who are keeping him sedated. You know, unbeknownst to him, of course, Staples, she wasn't the one who made them do the overall decision, but she's not liking it, but she feels it's probably for the best, because he is very, his overall strength is how, you know, smart he is to get the upper hand in certain instances, whichever, and very effective with that. And so, as you all know from the trailer, yes, he does find ways to get the upper hand, whichever. Of course, you see he goes to meet the character played by Kevin Wendell Crumb, James McAvoy, whichever. Now let me tell you, there were scenes with him where, if you all see, where she used some sort of electrical lights, whatever, to cause another personality to come out. If he starts to become a little bit agitated and aggressive, so they can kind of control him that way. And it was very effective. We got a couple of different new names that came out. Mary Reynolds, we got a name by a gentleman, Luke, Samuel Goddard, Norma. The Norma was hilarious. You know, there was one scene where he's speaking in Spanish. It was so good, whichever. A couple of sentences he did, and you could hear the laughing, because at first, until they showed the subtitles, I wasn't aware of what he was saying, but there were people in the audience, you know, who caught on really quickly or were busting out laughing, whichever. But it was just funny to see they added some additional personalities. Now with him, of course, meeting Elijah, him wanting to meet the Beast, we're seeing things like that. We're seeing scenes of the characters like Anya Taylor-Joy and Spencer Joseph Dunn wanting to go and meet, you know, with the doctor played by Sarah Paulson, trying to explain to them she wants to meet, you know, Kevin Wendell Crumb, to talk to him to see if she can kind of get a breakthrough, explain to him what she's been dealing with, whatever. So he kind of has a soft spot, as you all know if you saw Split. Same thing with Joseph trying to explain to him, my father shouldn't be in here, whichever, and she's not wanting to hear that. She's there to get a full psyche eval, so they can either decide if they're going to be taken, you know, to court to be charged with all the crimes they've done. Definitely Kevin Wendell Crumb's character, aka Beast, whichever, and same thing with even Dunn. Even though he's done good, but he hurt people in the process with the things he had done over the course of the years, whichever have happened. So overall with the movie, you also get to meet Elijah's mother, who was of course in the first one. I will say this, I loved how we saw flashbacks. We saw some good flashbacks with Elijah as a child. I love the scenes of scene with Bruce Willis' character David Dunn, of course, with him young, talking to his son, like I said. I love those. I love when they showed his son having those scenes, thinking about his dad, you know, when he realized who he was, whatever, the crying scenes and all that, whichever, you know. Then also even with Kevin Wendell Crumb, what he's been dealing with, mother being very, very abusive. Oh my goodness, there's a scene that's so traumatizing. I can imagine where you want to hide up under, like he did under the bed, whatever, and all that, and you kind of want to go to a place, and these personalities kind of kept him safe. There's a certain scene, which I can't go into discussion, where one of the personalities makes a comment in regards to why they are there, in regards to Kevin. It was a very powerful scene, honestly, and I really enjoyed that scene. I won't give that away, but it happens probably within the last 10 or 15 minutes of the actual movie before the end credits, whichever. But let's just say that, like I stated, you know, you see those scenes. Elijah definitely getting upper hand, and they start to work together, whichever. I love the little action sequences that we did see. You all saw him in the trailer where he goes up against Dunn, whichever. You see the scene of him running like an animal, whichever, as well. You see the scenes where Also, the scene of, character parts with Sarah Paulson. Now, I'm going to go back really quickly. There's a lot more to her character. Like I said, I can't spoil it for you guys, whatever of that. And I'm going to delve into after I finish my review with this. But in the end, overall, certain things happen where you get the overall consensus of them concluding the full, movie. Like all three, three movies are intertwined, whatever, in the way that it was kind of, thought out. Now, I will say that one of the things I didn't really particularly like as well is the pacing. This movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes, and with that, you see some scenes where it's a lot of dialogue. And I can understand some of the dialogue at first when she's addressing them and she's talking to all three of them to whichever. But there are other scenes where some of the dialogue seemed like it would go on and on again, and other scenes where they could have just cut that down just a little bit overall. Now, for me, I do wish there was another scene where the destruction that Elijah wanted to do, he doesn't get a chance to do so much of it, and I really wish they did push that envelope a little more. I would have loved that. That would have been nice, and when you all see the movie, you'll understand what I mean by that particular comment I just made, whichever, because there was so much potential in this one scene. Also, there's another scene where certain things are visible in regards to Dr. Elise, and also Elise Staples' character, and also the men that come to the rescue, the other authorities, whichever. There's a certain tattoo part that comes out, and it gives me a vibe of something that I'm going to kind of go into now. So I'm just going to cut this off with a review, whichever, because overall, like I stated, I love the movie. I thought it was very well done. I got the conclusion of what I really wanted to happen, which I thought would happen. The overall twist was right on par with the plot, the storyline overall, whichever, which was good. And I was kind of glad for that, because if you all recall, one thing that everybody likes to always throw out there when it comes to M. Night's movies is talking about his twist at the end, whichever. A lot of them, to some people, are lackluster, and then there are ones like me where I see the overall picture of what he's doing, because like I said, he's not what I would consider with a lot of directors where they give you A, B, and C. You get the, your middle, you get your first, your beginning, your middle, and your end, conclusion, all that. And it's like the overall assumption of you all understand what's going on, whichever. If you're following the movie, whichever, most of the times you understand what's going on with him. I've been like that since I saw the movie The Village, because that literally had me aghast all the way to the end, and then I was kind of scratching my head, but then I saw the potential of exactly what he was doing, and there was nothing wrong with it. It was not what I was expecting, and there's nothing wrong with that. You always don't get the endings that you all think you should be getting, because you're assuming from all the movies we've watched over the years, whatever, however old you are, whatever, this is what you're expecting. And you can't think like that. Not every director is the same when it comes to telling their story, whatever, and all, and giving you the overall storyline visual of what you think it should be. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I give him kudos to that to this day. There's a couple movies he's done over the years I don't care for, and it's all good. But overall, I like the overall body of his movies. There's no director who has a body of work that's just perfect from beginning to end. Ain't nobody gonna ever tell me that. Because we will be arguing straight through. Now with this one, out of a 10, I'll give it about an 8. Like I said, the pacing, certain parts with Bruce Willis' character, I wish they could have, honed it a little bit more. And like I said, the scene where Elijah had an overall plan to do some sort of destruction with something, there was a key area he wanted to go to, which we didn't really get to truly see. And I really feel like that was a good opportunity. They could have done that. Now with me, with this is the part I want to hover on real quick, and I'm trying to spoil it with this. The whole situation when I said about the tattoos and Dr. Staples, I feel like there's a possibility if he decides to, and I think he said he's not, he could make another movie. Honestly, there's certain things that happen towards in this movie that leaves it open for interpretation that they could, and I kid you not, if you see the movie, you'll understand what I mean. I love, of course, there's a scene of her in a comic book store and certain things are happening, whichever, and I feel like the potential is there. There's another scene where she's talking to some people in a restaurant. Trust me when I tell you, I feel like they could do another one. I don't know if he'll wait a long time to do it. There's a possibility he could. You never know. If he gets enough feedback about this particular scenario that I'm bringing up, because I can't be the only one who could feel this way. I might be a couple other people, not a large amount, but if it's enough people who bring the same thoughts that I'm bringing up about this movie, he might just change his mind, whichever. And I'm almost going to keep my fingers crossed that he does, whichever, because this could continue this just even more the way it was left towards the end of the movie, you know, in regards to some stuff that she said and that Elijah said to his mother. So, but yes, again, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm looking forward to adding this to the collection, and one day I'll probably just watch them all back to back, whichever, because I feel like, yes, I got the ending, honestly, in regards to this, with all these particular characters, of what I really wanted, and I really did enjoy the movie for what it was. Again, James McAvoy, he hit it out the park. I'm a fan of him already, but once I saw Split, it was just like anything he honestly does now, I would definitely take the time to watch whichever, because he really was just awesome in this movie. Again, I love him some Bruce Willis, whatever. For the parts they gave him, pretty good, whichever. Same thing with Samuel Jackson playing Elijah. Very, you know, creepy, very sneaky. Just, he played his character perfectly well. Yes. Sarah Paulson's character, definitely interesting, very cryptic. Love that. But yes, in the end, I love this. I love this particular movie by M. Night, whichever, and I'm looking forward to whatever else he has next coming up, whichever, down the pike. So you guys comment below. Let me know what you all think. If you have seen the movie, whichever. If you did, please don't spill it in the comment section. If somebody wants to see it, I'd rather them see whichever. Hopefully like a couple of days later or a week later, then, you know, knock yourselves out. Hopefully by then. If they didn't, I can't help you. So if they want to discuss it fully with me, I'd rather them speak with it. But just be mindful, whichever. I don't want anybody to be offended, whichever. And with that said, I hope you guys will see you in the next review. You guys take care.